Welcome to Fisher Sports Desk. I'm John DeMuro.
And I'm Matt Ryan. We have a ton of highlights from your Fisher sports teams.
We're going to get started with the men's soccer team taking on Alfred State, looking for the first win of the season.
And we're going to start with a goal that might be the highlight of the season. Take a look at this. 8 minutes in and Brandon Costanzo sends it down the line to A.J. Klemzak, who crosses off a hop, and it's Joe Castellini with a beautiful header into the back of the net. 3 touches on this unbelievable goal, and Fisher goes up 1-0. Fisher looking to strike again off another cross, but Alfred State goalie Ken Alport is there to make the stop. Cardinals try to capitalize off the rebound, but the Pioneers defender hustles to make the sliding save. The Cardinals back on the attack again, and this time it's Klemzak with a finish off the redirect. 2-0 Fisher. The Cardinals trying to pour it on now. Castellini breaks to the net, but Alport comes up with a huge save. And because of the Cardinals' strong defensive effort, it was a pretty easy night for Fisher goalie Joe Catalfamo. A nice clear there. Then it's Catalfamo clearing it himself. And Catalfamo one more time with one of his 5 saves on the night right there. At the other end, Fisher kept the pressure on. Costanzo again off the rebound, but Alport makes another great save. But this night belonged to the Cardinals. They would go on to score 2 more goals and shut out Alfred State for their first victory of the season. Castellini finished with 2 goals on the night, Klemzak added a goal and assist, and Brian Norman scored his first goal of the season. 4-0 the final.
We have more men's soccer for you now. Fisher hosted Utica in an Empire 8 match last Saturday.
Opening up in the 21st minute, Jake Gentili takes it himself and puts the moves on here and scores a fancy goal to give Fisher the 1-0 lead. Just seconds later, Gentili again here with this assist on this well-placed goal by Joe Castellini on the top of the net. When it rains, it pours, as Castellini again is a perfectly placed ball on the corner kick, headed in by freshman Tyler Randall to give Fisher a 3-0 lead, all within a 5-minute span. The Cardinal defense would hold strong throughout the remainder of the match, shutting out the Pioneers. Fisher would win 3-0 and chalk up their second consecutive victory, dropping Utica to 4-9 on the season.
The women's soccer team also faced Utica over the weekend. The Cardinals were looking to get back on track after getting shut out 4-0 to Stevens.
It didn't look good early on as Utica's Jenna Mazza would get on the board quickly for the Pioneers. But just 2 minutes later, Fisher's Nicolette Nigro would respond, ripping this shot into the net. Then the Cardinals would keep it going as Mackenzie Winslow lobs this shot over the Utica goalie for her first goal of the season. Try to extend the Cardinals' lead before the half, but Utica's Kimberly Beattie managed a save. It was 2-1 Cardinals at the half. Fisher goalie Sarah O'Brien had a pretty quiet day. The defense kept the ball from getting to her, and she had only 1 save. The Cardinals would take advantage of the solid defense to keep the game rolling. Midway through the second half, Jackie Romano would nail this goal off a Nigro assist. A late Jamie Aloko goal would make the final score 4-1. Fisher improved to 5-6-1 on the season with the win, and 2-2 in the Empire 8.
There was plenty of action off campus for the Cardinals this past week.
Let's get you caught up on some of those games now.
The St. John Fisher men's cross-country team competed in the Hamilton College Invitational on the weekend, where Charles Collins had a strong showing, finishing in the top 15. He ran the 8K in 26 minutes and 40 seconds.
Meanwhile, the women's tennis team had a strong showing at Utica College. The ladies dominated in singles, winning 5 out of 6 matches, all in straight sets. The 5 lady winners were Sarah Sorrentino, Amanda Pendergast, Katie Payton, Caroline Seberg, and Eileen Fleming. Fisher was equally strong in doubles play, winning all 3 of their matches.
Also competing this weekend was our lady golf team, who represented the college well against crosstown rival Nazareth. Taylor Laughinghouse and Ellie Shemarani helped carry the team to victory, each shooting 1 round in the 80s.
Still plenty more to come on this edition of Fisher Sports Desk.
When we come back, we got highlights of a wild football game in Morrisville. Stay with us. Welcome back to Fisher Sports Desk. Right now we got football highlights for you.
The Cardinals were on the road to take on the Morrisville Mustangs.
They opened up the game with this rollout strike to Marcus Jackson, who takes it all the way to the house. Fisher would strike right back by sending up the screen pass to Bobby Campese, and no one would catch him, giving Fisher the 7-6 lead. However, it only takes seconds for Morrisville to respond. A fake run out of the Wildcat sets up this wide open 66-yard touchdown pass, stretching Morrisville's lead 13-7. Feeling confident, Bendito shows off his arm on this 74-yard touchdown pass, stretching the lead 20-7 Mustangs. But when Fisher needed it most, the defense comes up big with this Alec Mortallero interception. Now watch the return. He puts the moves on here and gets Fisher right back in it. Fisher would score on the ensuing drive on this play-action pass. Later on fourth down, Nathan would find Campese again to take back the lead. Morrisville would end the half with this field goal, making the score 23-21 Mustangs. Second half now, on the fake reverse, Matt Nathan finds, guess who? Bobby Campese again, who comes up big for Fisher. Tony Fusco would pound it in here, giving Fisher the 28-23 advantage. Back and forth we go as Morrisville would retake the lead here, 29-28. Now, with just 47 seconds left in the game and all the pressure on quarterback Matt Nathan, he finds a slanting Nathan Nagolian for the winning touchdown. Watch this play again and see the pocket presence by Matt Nathan to deliver the strike for the win. The Cardinals would win a thriller to improve their record to 2-3 overall and 2-2 in the Empire 8.
Now let's take a look at the women's volleyball team taking on a powerhouse in Brockport.
The Brockport women's volleyball team is known as the Big Cheese on campus, with a 21 record including 10 straight victories. Fisher came into the game with a record of 10-11. It was senior night for Megan Miller, the lone senior on the team, who led the team with 41 total attempts, scoring 7 points. But it wasn't enough as Fisher fell 3-0, but the match was a lot closer than that. In the first set, it was a back-and-forth affair as Brockport won it 25-20. Fisher fell down early in the second set, but kept fighting back into it. Brockport eventually held on for a 25-18 win. In the third and final set, Brockport looked to be pulling away early as they led the set 5-0, but as they did during the whole match, the Cardinals continued to fight back. But it again was in vain as the Cardinals once again fell 25-20. The difference in this game was the errors, as Fisher had 27 of them against just 15 for Brockport. Freshman Elise Cruz had a good game, leading with 22 digs and 2 aces. That was the final home game this season for the Cardinals.
The women also face Houghton at home. Let's check out those highlights.
Picking up in the first set of action where Megan Stonebarger sets up Megan Miller with this cross-court kill. Still in the first, freshman phenom Elise Cruz serves up the first of 2 aces in the match. The Hollanders would go on a strong run, but Fisher stays in the match with this block by Megan Stonebarger. Now to the point of the match. Check out Megan Carwush's spectacular defense on this play. She digs deep here to keep the point alive. The point continues, and she has another incredible dig. Back and forth the ball goes, and she saves it again along the baseline. The long point was finally won by Amanda Miller's bump. Unfortunately, Houghton would win the set with this kill just out of the reach of Fisher's defense. Former superstar coach Jamie Snyder going over some adjustments with the team. Her advice worked to start the second as Stonebarger sets up Miller for this commanding kill. Cruz demonstrates perfect form here, but the Hollanders would go on to win the point and eventually take the second set. Picking up in the third set, the bump, then the set by Stonebarger and the kill by Anna Marcy. Again, the bump, the set by Stonebarger and the kill by Amanda Miller. Despite these strong plays, the Hollanders would go on to win the match here. Houghton would win 3 straight sets, picking up their 14th win on the season, and Fisher would drop to 500 for the season.
Up next on FSD, the MLB playoffs are in full swing.
We're going to check in on the American and National League Series coming up.
A drive to right. Orlando on his horse back there to make the catch at the wall, and it's with that exclamation point that the Kansas City Royals move on for a date with the Blue Jays.
Big dreams and good grades aren't enough to get into college. There are actual steps you need to take. Finding someone who can help is the first and most important. For the next steps, go to knowhowtogo.org.
Welcome back. Is it finally time for the Cubs to shine as predicted in Back to the Future?
The playoffs have certainly been exciting so far. Let's take a look at some of the action.
And we'll start off with Game 5 of the Blue Jays-Rangers series. Shin-Soo Choo hit a solo home run off Marcus Stroman. Later, Edwin Encarnacion hit a solo home run off Cole Hamels. Later on in the game, Roughneck Odor standing on third base, while catcher Russell Martin throws the ball off the bat of Shin-Soo Choo, allowing Odor to score. Umpires confirm it's a run, and beer cans and bottles are thrown out on the field from the fans in the upper deck. Jose Bautista would break the game open with a 3-run home run off Sam Dyson. For the final out of the game, Robert Osuna will strike out Will Venable to end the game. Blue Jays win 6-3 and move on to the ALCS.
In the other American League Series, the defending AL champion Royals went to a Game 5 against the Astros.
Johnny Cueto heads to the mound in an important closeout Game 5. Luis Valbuena hits a 2-run homer in the top of the second to give the Astros an early lead. Eric Hosmer lines a single into center field. Carlos Gomez falls down on the play, allowing Lorenzo Cain to score. 2-1 Astros. Alex Rios hits a double into left field that scores Salvador Perez and Alex Gordon. Let's listen to the call to end the game.
A drive to right. Orlando on his horse back there to make the catch at the wall, and it's with that exclamation point that the Kansas City Royals move on for a date with the Blue Jays.
To the National League now, where the Cardinals tried to stay alive against the Cubs in Game 4 of their division series.
Anthony Rizzo hits a solo blast to right off Kevin Seegers. 5-4 Cubs. Top of the ninth now, the Cardinals down to the final out. Hector Rondon strikes out Stephen Frascati to end the game. Cubs advanced to the NLCS for the first time since 2003. It is the first series clinched ever at Wrigley Field for the Cubs in team history.
Still one more segment to come on Fisher Sports Desk.
Up next, we have a roundtable discussion where we tackle the biggest stories in the sports world.
What if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life as you know it has completely turned on its head? What if everything familiar becomes anything but? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today. Learn how at ready.gov.
Welcome back to Fisher Sports Desk. It's time for our roundtable discussion. Today we welcome in James Bailey. Welcome, James.
Glad to be here.
All right, for our first topic in today's show, we're going to be talking about Steve Sarkisian. As you guys know, he showed up to a game and practice drunk and has since been dismissed by USC. So what do you guys think?
Well, I think it's really unfortunate to see stuff like this, alcohol issues in sports. I know we just saw it with CeCe Sabathia of the Yankees get it, and he chucked himself into rehab, not dismissed from the team in the same manner. But looking back on some stuff's coming out of the woodworks about how Sarkisian's had an ongoing alcohol issue for years, and I think it's just really unfortunate. He seemed like a nice enough guy and everything, but obviously he's not well right now, and I think that the right decision was to let him go, and hopefully he can become better and maybe come back to the college ranks someday.
Well, obviously, it's completely inappropriate for a coach to show up to practice and then a game drunk. It's almost unheard of, so you have to get rid of him. But as you were talking about, it was an issue with him in the past, and he was running up bills on prior teams with alcohol, so that's not good at all. And he had a problem earlier in the season at a fundraiser, so that kind of raised a red flag, but nobody thought it was that big of a deal because it was more of a social event. He apologized for it and they moved on, but then when you're showing up to practice and games drunk, you have a serious issue. And it's just kind of a crazy case because they weren't even able to get a hold of him for a long time after that, so Pat Hayden had to just go through and fire him without even contacting him, really.
Yeah, it seems like since USC, they were a big powerhouse probably 10 or 15 years ago in college football. But then they had the recruiting violations with Pete Carroll. He jumped ships, essentially. Ever since then, it seems like they've been going through coaches pretty much every couple of years. They need to get back on track for a big school like that, for USC, where they breathe football down there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pat Hayden's on the hot seat for sure.
They had a pretty promising team with Cody Kessler leading them and everything this year, so I think that they can still finish strong even with an interim coach.
I think the key is to find a young coach who's got a lot of charisma, because the key in college is obviously being able to recruit.
All right. Another big story in sports was the Chase Utley takeout slide for the playoff game against the Mets. Took out the Mets shortstop Ruben Flores, or Ruben Tejada, who he's out for the season now with a broken leg. So what do you guys think about the whole takeout slides, all those kind of plays at second base? It's just a big issue in baseball right now.
Well, I think there might need to be a rule change as far as the takeout slide's concerned, because you never want player safety to be in jeopardy over just one play. So you never want anybody to deliberately hurt anyone or even have a play that could go either way. So I think they should make a rule and try to take it out almost altogether, because the players nowadays are just making too much money to lose a player.
Yeah, definitely. And I know like a lot of old school people are going to say that they want the contact back and that's part of the sport. But even look at the NFL, football, a full contact sport, and they have penalties against roughing the kicker and hitting unprotected players and stuff like that. A player that didn't get a chance to protect himself. And I think it's just another one of those issues where Tejada was up in the air and Utley wasn't even going for the base. He was just going to take out Tejada. And I think it really was a dirty play. It had no place in baseball. And I also think it's unfortunate that the suspension, obviously, the hearing and stuff like that. I mean, it's due process, but I think it's unfortunate that it's not going to have any bearings on the series. And I know that Utley sat out the past couple games, in Citi Field, but it's just been a really upsetting situation. And hopefully the Mets can get their due revenge.
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of the takeout slide. I just really don't understand it, and it kind of let them play with the neighborhood rule because they have to protect the fielders. And then if you look at the Chase Utley one, he just didn't even start sliding until he already reached second base. So clearly he wasn't going anywhere near the bag. And recently MLB has also implemented the rules for catcher safety, so there can't be really any more collisions at home plate anymore for plays at the plate. So they gotta look at it. Hopefully do something about rules at second base as well.
Yeah, and I mean, Tejada was up in the air, and he's just not protected. Even the catcher's on the ground, and they have the protection on. So if the catcher's protected, why isn't the fielder's protected?
Yeah, it definitely looked like a dirty play. But in Utley's defense, he is kind of known as a hustle player, so he's always crashing in there fast. But that play itself didn't look good.
And another layer to the story is that these same two players had the same sort of accident, I think back in 2010, for playing for different teams, and it just adds to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just,
definitely.
Yeah. All right, another big topic. Tyrod Taylor looking to potentially start this week, even though he's had an MCL strain. Matt, I know you know a lot about the Bills, so what do you think about this?
Well, obviously you don't want to put Taylor out there if he is too injured, because you don't want it to turn into kind of like the RG3 situation where he went out there in a playoff game and re-injured the knee, and he's really never been the same player. So it might just be Rex Ryan, trying to keep the defense off balance. However, I do think there is kind of still a good chance that he could play, because Taylor is known as a really tough player. And I was actually listening to the John Murphy show right after he got promoted to the starter. And his old high school coach was talking about how he's kind of like a pit bull with a bone. Once he gets a hold of the starting job, he ain't going to let go. So that he doesn't really want EJ to get in there and give Doug Whaley a chance to kind of vindicate that pick.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are questioning. The Bills gave away Matt Castle for seemingly nothing to the Cowboys just a couple weeks ago, and people are kind of questioning that now. And that obviously EJ Manuel has been the Bills quarterback for the past couple of years. He knows the system, stuff like that. But to bring in a guy like Josh Johnson, that's kind of come in off the streets. In essence, even though he had just played for the Colts, it was kind of a questionable move. I agree that Taylor should definitely sit out if he's not feeling 100%. MCL, especially anything with the knee, you don't want to mess with. So I think that honestly, for the Bills' best interest, especially playing a good Cincinnati team that they might struggle with even with their starting quarterback, maybe just kind of eat this game. Hope that you can get Taylor back soon. They play the Jaguars up next week, so that's a game that you think that they might be able to win even without EJ and even without Tyrod, and hopefully that they can get back on track.
All right, thanks guys. That's all the time we have for this edition of Fisher Sports Desk. Thanks for joining us. Please join us next time.